as Qui-Gon Jinn once said, there's always a bigger fish. And I don't know why.
Why is that the one quote from Phantom Menace that you remember?
I mean, there's so many great quotes from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, but why that one?
Because it's so fucking stupid. It literally means nothing.
What are you on about? It has metaphorical significance that there will always be bigger fish. There's always
Well, I
more
think
in
it's a
life.
terrible metaphor. It's basically like imagine you're in a shit situation, and rather than saying someone like, "Oh, cheer up, things will get better," imagine saying to someone, "There's always worse things." Like
That's literally what people say, though. Like
no, but
when you're
I think
complaining
that's
about
terrible.
life, when you're complaining about life, someone will say, "Think of the kids in Africa. They're suffering worse."
Yeah,
than you
and I
right
think
now."
that's a fucking horrible way to deal with those types.
It is
of
a horrible
things.
way to deal with
Because
it, but people
like
do
what?
say it.
Well, what you want to do is you want to say like, "Oh, it's okay. Like I know, like you're doing shit, but like things will get better." Not say like, could be worse. You know, your house could have burnt down. It's like that's not helpful.
How did he get onto this?
So Qui-Gon, there's always a bigger fish. Sure, just maybe I'm just gonna stop swimming for a bit then. Oh mate, they should make a gin called Qui-Gon Gin. I'd drink that shit.
Oh, mate. Okay, we'll start a brewery. And what flavour would it be?
Oh, it'd have to look green, so it's got to be apple, right? Like apple gin.
Apple gin? That's like, I don't think there is an apple.
Are we
gin,
onto
actually.
Are we onto something? Are we
We're
going
onto
to
something.
participate in the shithole franchise that is the Star Wars franchise?
Yeah, apple gin and tonic called Qui-Gon Gin and Tonic.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking sick.
All right, no, this you heard it here first. Like, no one steal this.
Yeah, trademarked.
If we see this on shelves next year, Disney, we're looking at you. We're looking at you. We know what corporate monster you are.
You're listening to the Talking Music Podcast with Josh Ferguson and Connor Bryant.
Hello.
I'm Josh Ferguson. You are Connor Bryant. This
I
is the
am.
podcast where we, you guessed it, talk about music. How are you, Connor?
Doing good. Doing good. I'm
Good.
feeling the winter spirit. My spirits are up. The winter is up. I'm doing good.
My spirit, it's weird for me.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy. I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
But the Christmas market's open now,
Oh, yeah.
and the fact that I have to walk through it every time I go to work brings my festivity down.
Wait, hang
be
on. Is this
honest.
market open every day?
Yeah,
Right.
it's open every day. There's
You know what you need to do?
cheese.
You know what you need to do with the marketplace?
What?
You want to go to the fresh fruit and veg. You
Hmm.
can get some real cheap avocados there. That's my piece of wisdom from one person to another.
Okay, hang on. It's not just like a generic market. It's like they actually sell like Christmassy stuff. You can't just like rock up to the Christmas market and buy it.
Oh.
It's like they sell like Christmas cheeses and like hog roast and shit like that. Hello, I'd like to buy an avocado, please.
Any Christmas avocados?
Sir, this is a stand for Christmas jumpers. Please go away.
Oh,
Anyway.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to all of you.
Mm-hmm.
And for this Christmas, we're bringing you 2 albums and a discussion on those albums. Ho, ho, ho. And those 2 albums... and those 2 albums are Aphex Twin with the Richard D. James album and the Postal Service with Give Up.
Lovely, isn't it? So yeah, these are 2 albums that we thought that we each other should revisit, that we had listened to before and that we just either never came back to or we didn't appreciate as much as we thought the one should have done. Well, that was quite a mouthful. Yeah, a week ago I recommended to you the Richard D. James album because I think you give Aphex Twin too much of a bad rap. Which is some of it is understandable.
Yeah, some people have messaged me over Instagram saying like, "Oh, how could you not like Aphex Twin?"
Wait,
Like,
really?
what
Did they
kind of
actually?
like 1 or 2 people. Yeah, we're not like
Wow.
super popular. My inbox wasn't flooding.
Nah,
or
but
anything
still.
like that, but still, like, yeah,
Wow.
people do come up to me and say, what is wrong with you? How can you not like Aphex Twin? Like, what is it about him that you don't like? And for me, it's not particular to Aphex Twin. It's with a lot of IDM that I've listened to. It's very, very cold. And it's one of the most inhumane, not inhumane, that's not the word I want, inhuman genres of music out there. Right, because there's no emotion to it. It's very robotic at times. You know, there's some standout.
I was going to say, I agree to an extent, because I get it from like the point of view of like, I feel like with dance music, it's trying to connect to you, like your soul, because it wants you to dance, it wants you to move. But with IDM, there's like a sort of I don't know, mechanical.
Yeah, it's like intelligent dance music. What
it's pretentious as shit. But then I do think like there are things that IDM incorporates that I think does better at getting an emotional reaction out of you than regular dance music does, or EDM does, like 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, like I said, there are some standout artists and albums out there. I think Fortet.
I was going to say, I think Fortet is probably the one that does it best.
Yeah, he has really perfected like the blend of IDM production and like raw emotional like song structures and songwriting.
Definitely.
You know, he actually has melody to his songs, and while still maintaining complexity and just like, you know, odd time signatures in his music.
Yeah.
Same with Autaka as well. On some albums in their discography, particularly the later albums.
Yeah, what, like the 4 hour? Are they the ones that did the 4 hour album that came out?
Yeah, so they released, I think it's Elsewhere or something bullshit like that, which is 4 hours, right? And then this year they came out with the NTS sessions or something like that, and that's 4 albums totaling 8 hours. And it's like, I do not have the time to sit through that.
Who does?
And the fact that it's very cold IDM, I do not have the motivation to check out that shit either.
Yeah, because a lot of IDM is like very, very glitchy, so sometimes it doesn't give you a lot to bite into.
Yeah, it's not catchy a lot of the time. It's very repetitive and it's very overwhelming as well, with like these really like fast drum beats.
And I think
which I will talk about at some
point. Yeah,
that's
why I do kind of understand what you don't like about Aphex Twin, because like for me, as much as I try to encourage you to listen to it for ages, I like one of my lesser favorites of his is Drux or Druckus, or however you want to pronounce it. And the reason why that's one of my lesser favorites is because there's like 30 tracks, and the way that the beats are so broken on that thing, it's really, really hard to kind of just like attach yourself to it. But, and maybe I'll use this as a segue to breach us into Richard D. James' album. I think Richard D. James' album is the complete opposite of that. I feel like there is a lot of emotion to that album. I feel like there is a lot that gets across in that album, and I think it being only like 35 minutes, I think it's really
something like 35 minutes,
really concise,
very, very short,
very, very smooth, and I think the way it blends genres is what makes it, to me, one of the best IDM albums out there. So I'd love to know what your thoughts on re-listening to this thing was.
Well, I do have to say, right out the bat, I definitely did not give the love and attention this album deserved on my first listen.
Cool. It's good stuff.
So I'm glad I listened to it again. And I do have a newfound appreciation for it. It is definitely, like you said, a lot more emotional, a lot more melodic, and a lot better put together, I guess, than some other Aphex Twin albums.
Yeah.
Not to say that an Aphex Twin album is badly produced or badly made. They're always amazingly produced. But like I said, the thing that's gotten in the way with me and Aphex Twin is just the distance, the human factor. You know, whenever I listen to Selected Ambient Works Volume 1, I just couldn't sink my teeth into it because it's so
See,
cold.
I
and desolate.
do love that album, but
It's a good album, yeah, but it just I can't invest myself into it in the same way I can invest myself in, say, like any Brian Eno ambient albums or any Tim Hecker albums or anything like that.
they create more of an atmosphere. It's weird because I wouldn't even consider
it's the atmosphere.
I wouldn't even consider
Yeah.
selected ambient works as being necessarily that ambient.
No, it's not too ambient. No, it's more like minimal techno.
Mm.
But even in that regard, like I've heard minimal techno albums that are way more impactful
Yeah.
and pack way more of a punch. Personally, and again, I'm going to get so much shit for like this is like sacrilege to a
This
lot
is
of
the
people.
great thing about opinions, though, you know.
Exactly. Opinions. The Richard D. James album, though, on second listen, is absolutely an investing listen, and it is an emotional listen. And there are some melodies on here that have stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And I don't really have that many complaints about it, to be honest. The only real complaint I have with it is similar to a complaint I gave you when I first listened to it about a year ago. And that was something along the lines of it felt like classical music or Casio synths with some just like really fast breakbeats, right? And it's just like, oh, look, I'm meshing these two worlds together, and look how novel that is.
Yeah.
I don't feel that extremely about it now. I do believe there are some borderline genius meshes between IDM style production and classical music.
That
and just,
I was gonna say
synths.
it's one of my favorite things about it. Like,
I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing about
Yeah.
it, but my favorite thing about it is just the human factor. It does feel like Richard is having fun with making this music.
do you know what I think part of that is down to? Like a lot of his other music, like, is purely in the electronics, and I find this with IDM as well. But there are certain moments, I think, like especially on the opening track, and like To Cure a Weakling Child, like there's human voices in it. Like even if they're just like used very very minimally as like the samples, but I think like in the opening track 4, there's like just that little bit of a sample that just like kind of breaks the song. It sounds like they're in the studio or something, but then it like gives it that perfect segue into like the next part, and I love that part, and I think that's what brings out that human element a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like I do actually picture Richard at his Macintosh putting together these beats.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't picture that when listening to Selected Ambient Works or Drux.
Yeah.
Or any of his other albums, you know, but with this one, I can picture just like Richard just like jamming out at his keyboard, like, oh yeah, this is the beat, yes, get in.
Yeah.
And, like a song like Fingerbib, for instance, like,
god, the
melody
is so good on it.
Gets my head grooving, you know, and like I can see where Fortet would be inspired by something like that and just ride a whole career with that inspiration.
It's so simple as well. Like it's really
it's
just that one melody that just like goes throughout the entire track.
Great beat, and again, like some IDM snobs might turn their nose up to it. It's like, it's not intelligent enough. It's not complex. The time signatures are not challenging in any way. But honestly, it's just a fun little jam, and like I said, it does feel like he's having fun, and that's the whole ethos behind this record, I guess. Because especially with the album cover, it does just look like he's fucking about.
So have you do you know much about the whole Aphex Twin and his face situation?
I can't remember the exact history.
I feel like I've probably explained it before, but
please recap.
Apparently, like back in the like late 80s and early 90s, when this whole like techno scene and the acid house scene was like going on, apparently it was just like seen as one of those things where you had to be like anonymous. You had to you'd never put your face on anything because the music was kind of like everyone's. Like everyone was meant to have a good time to it. Everyone was meant to dance to it. So to put your face to it was kind of like taking away from what the music meant. And I think I think Richard D. James was just like, nah, fuck that shit. And like was because he was like the complete antithesis to like everything. Like he just thought it'd be fucking funny to put like the most ugly, disgusting face he could do on all his artwork, on all his promotion, everything. Like, and so that's how he like became that face and that figure of his own brand was because it was kind of just like the absolute opposite of what you should have done in that scene, and so that's why
fair play to
that's
him.
why he's just got that like really ugly smile that just like haunts everyone to this day. But there is you'll be surprised to know on my re-listen there is one track that I really just don't like.
Oh yeah,
that's the final track. Can't.
I mean, it's not my favorite track either.
I really hate the didgeridoo samples. I can't.
You just think of Rolf Harris.
No, I'll tell you what I think of. I think of fucking Lion in a Coma, like by Animal Collective when I listen to it. And obviously I know one came before the other, but like obviously one's used as like this upbeat like pop song, and like one's like a IDM song. I just don't think like you've got an album that mixes these strings that are really really nice sounding. Obviously they're synthetic strings. Really nicely. This sort of like neoclassical electronic music. And then at the end, there's just like a fucking didgeridoo that drives the song, and it's like it feels so tacked on and out of place. It bugs me.
I guess that is like an extension of what I'm trying to say is great about this album. It's just Richard is fucking about, and that song is the perfect thesis of that ethos, right? It's just so bonkers and so ridiculous that I kind of end up loving it because of it. Again, it's not my favorite track. It's definitely not the best piece of Aphex Twin music out there. And it definitely doesn't fit in with the rest of the album, but it's just a fun little song, to be honest.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that. I just think it does just, especially it being the last track, and it comes after such a great track before it.
Yeah.
That I think it's a classic case, like, and there's so many albums out there that do this, of just having a track on the end that just shouldn't be the closer.
Yeah, I know. It's really frustrating when that happens. And often than not, it's not like they're trying to close the album. It's just like a really slow, boring song. It's like, this is the outro, It's like, we don't need an outro. Just finish it on a high note.
Yeah. I've got a very similar complaint when we talk about Postal Service as well.
Oh no! If you say the last track on that album is like a downer, mate, nah.
Round up your thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking rounding up my thoughts on this, but I need to hear what you're saying about that last song. Fuck no, I'm not having that. So I guess my least favorite track on the Richard D. James album is Goon Gumpers, because that is what I don't like about the album. Is just, you're taking these like novel classical strings and then just putting a breakbeat on them or some Casio synth keyboards over them. It's like, hey, look at me, this is electronic music, this is IDM. I don't feel any effort was put into it, because it does just seem like classical strings, synths meshed together. There's a song and there's a concept for an album. But other than that, I think the rest of the album is really, really solid. The melodies are great for a lot of the time. The breakbeat drumming does get stale after a while, and it's my least favorite trend in IDM, to be honest. It's like, if we go fast, it's more intelligent, and it's like, that's not the case.
See, I want to say that you should honestly listen to I Care Because You Do next, because it's my personal favorite Aphex album, but it's because I think it's way more experimental, and it does go a little bit insane at points on that album. But I'm not sure if that's the kind of stuff that will do it for you.
I'll check it out. I think this was this was an album meant to reinvigorate my perspective on Aphex. I think it's done the job. So I'm willing to dig through his discography again, reevaluate his albums, and see what, if anything's changed. Because sometimes that does happen. Like, you visit an artist, he's like, nah, it's not doing it for me. You come back to it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years later, and he's like, holy fucking fuck, what was I thinking?
Yeah, I've done it plenty of times. The
National.
Yeah, that's what I was literally just thinking. Yeah. And now I own a vinyl.
Yeah, I'll never let that go. I saw you buy that vinyl in front of me, and
I know.
Yeah, you said, nah, it's boring, never going to listen to it again. And then a year
And now
later,
it's my favourite national
it's
album.
your favourite national album, and you're
Yep.
buying it on vinyl.
Shame on me.
Yeah, shame on you. Shame on him. Hashtag shame on Connor. Get that trending, please.
But, the thing about vinyls is we get them in the post, and the Postal Service is a great thing.
You're doing it.
But sometimes I think the Postal Service should just give up, especially when those posts are late.
Mate, your puns are so bad, you make me want to give up.
Oh!
So yeah, what the fuck's up with this bullshit about you not liking this last track?
Oh, straight
it's the best
in
track.
There. Okay.
What the fuck are you on about?
All right. Oh, do you really think
it's
so?
the best track.
Oh,
yes.
No.
The production on it is so good.
Oh boy. Okay, this will be a good one. So the reason why it's my least favorite track on the entire album is because, and you'll understand it. I actually really fucking love the last track up until the vocals come in.
No.
Because I think the track is so good. It almost feels like post-rock, but with like these electronic elements. Like for like all the huge build-up, the crashing on all the drums, and I'm like listening to it, and I'm like, this is fucking great. And then suddenly it just like all drops out, and then I can't remember the lead singer's name.
Fingerbibbin.
And then he comes in for like, I don't know, like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, like really not that long, with not a huge amount to say, and it just, to me, it completely kills the closing of the track. Like, I feel like it completely kills the closing of the entire album. Like, the entire album has like sort of like this building feel in like all of the tracks, and I think the vocals are beautiful, like in all of it. But I think the thing that was so special about this closing track was that it was just an instrumental, and it was just like this builder and this big climactic crash of like everything that had built up. And I just don't think the vocals fitted.
I think they fit.
And that's kind of what ruins it for me.
No, because I mean, like, I'm singing it in my head, to be honest. Like, I'll write you a song, and it won't be hard to sing, and like it's low key for sure. You know, like compared to like Such Great Heights or Clark Gable, you know, it's not as anthemic, but the vocals, you know, the song itself, as in like the production, it's very dark, it's very shadowy, and it's just epic.
And that's what I mean.
But
I love that.
When the vocals do come in, it does fit that atmosphere because it's very low key and subtle. No, you're wrong.
Well, because all his vocals are kind of low key, and soft. And I'm gonna stand by this right now. This is just this is electro indie pop emo. Like it is.
I tried the reason with you last week, and you haven't.
Sorry, which of the two of us has listened to a lot of like classic emo music?
Midwest emo, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, okay, Midwest emo, sure. Let's go.
Have you listened to Rites of Spring? Have you listened
to
Embrace?
Let's not have this emo debate. Let's not have the emo debate. Like, that's a long debate. That is like, yeah. No, but like his vocals, they're emo. Like, you know, I you know, a lot of the emo music that I have listened to, the vocals are within that range. You know, it's just that rather than having the noodly sounding guitars, you've got like some Indietronica.
I don't know. I don't think soft-spoken melodic vocals equal emo. Sure, he's from an emo band, quote unquote. But,
well, yeah.
You know, I just don't think, because he has a soft voice, it doesn't make Postal Service emo.
Well, it's a mixture of things. It's the soft voice, it's the very, very American voice, and that's what I kind of put towards emo, is that like it that overly Americana tone.
Sure.
With the sort of soft spoken, kind of nasally American voice.
I think it's a sign of affection.
Yeah, that like you get what I mean.
Yeah,
and or you don't.
I'm in the middle.
It is emotional, and here's my weirdest feeling about this album is you know, I've heard a lot of people like describe this as kind of like an autumny and type wintry type album. Which I think is a fair a fair thing. And the thing when listening to the lyrics is, it is kind of sad. Like, the album's called Give Up,
Yeah.
and
This place is a prison.
yeah, a lot of the lyrics, especially on like Silhouettes,
Oh, yeah.
or
Recycled air.
Recycled Air,
Yeah.
which is my favorite track on the entire
Oh,
album.
really? Nice.
Yeah, I love the lyrics in that thing. There's just a lot to love about it. And then you think about the district, the district sleeps alone tonight.
Oh,
Like it's all quite sad, like, or it's tinged with a lot of melancholia.
Yeah. But
But that's not the feeling I get from this album. It's really weird that all the sadness is all there. All the elements of what should be sad is there. But I weirdly feel like uplifted by this album.
yeah, it is an uplifting listen. Yeah.
It's really, really strange, and I think it's to do with the vocals as well. Like, you've got a lot of those ba 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 that just like kind of
Yeah.
push the spirits up. I think a lot of the instrumentals, the way that they're handled, especially with like the very bubbly and poppy. I know that you compared it to Cara Cara Bonito. I don't think it's as insane and as bubblegummy
Well,
as that.
I didn't
but
compare
there are...
Postal Service to Cara Cara Bonito. I compared
No,
Cara Cara Bonito to Postal
the other way
Service.
around.
Yeah.
But
Completely clarify that.
But yeah, there's a lot about it that I feel like it sounds very, very uplifting, and I've always considered like wintry autumn time. A lot of people consider it like a depressing time.
Yeah, they listen to like a lot of black metal and like. Yeah.
I find it like I find it to be like one of the few seasons that's like quite loving and warming
It's meant to be.
in a weird way. And so yeah, like it's just the complete opposite. But so I find this album very, very strange in a good way, because the album's called Give Up. There's a lot of sad lyrics, there's a lot of sad tones in the vocals, but something about it actually just like lifts me up a little bit.
You know, there's like really basic bitches online. They're like, "What's the happiest song with the saddest lyrics?" That's this album.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
it's the real patrician answer to that question.
But it's done better than the Smiths.
Right, I mean, I pissed off some people with the Aphex Twin comments, but I think you got to piss off even more people with the Smiths comments.
No, the only people I'm going to piss off with the Smiths comments are like people who are like in their like 15 to 20 age range, who haven't learned that Morrissey's a racist yet.
Well, yeah, Morrissey is a twat, but like, there's a lot of people that do love the Smiths, like unironically. So I'll let you deal with the brunt of that. That's your problem.
Okay. I won't put it on like the poster or anything. We won't make it the forefront.
Yeah, like, well, make our thumbnail image for the podcast episode just
Me
Morrissey
giving the finger to every Smiths album. Okay, but let's what else? There's a lot I have to say about this album, because I just think it's really good. The beats are incredible.
Yeah.
I think the production just in general. I think what an odd mix, and I think this is what originally when I first listened to it never allowed me to come back to it, or I never had the motivation to, because first time I listened to it I just wasn't captured by that mixture of like emo vocals on top of electronic. I'm gonna keep saying it because that's what it is to me. I just wasn't captured by that combination of electronic production and sort of synthesized drums and that sort of yeah. To me, it just didn't fit the first time I listened to it, and I think I never came back to it. I never downloaded it onto my phone, so I just never felt a reason to come back to it. But I'm glad I did, because I just think it works really well. Yeah. And you know what I found out that I'm really surprised by? This thing is fucking platinum.
Yeah, it was. I did some research before I came on here. It's the second Sub Pop album to go platinum after Nevermind, which is amazing.
That's mad.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about any of the tracks on this album. Like, ever.
I mean, Such Great Heights was a big single back in the day. But,
and that's what I mean. And maybe it's because, like, obviously this thing came out in 2004.
Yeah, 2004, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, which meant I would have been 7. So, you know, like, if that was a big... If that was a big track in 2004, it's not like I'm going to remember that part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
But,
we were watching, like, School of Rock and listening to, like, generic rap and rock metal at the time.
Literally. But like I don't know. I've never heard anyone I've never heard anyone in my family, anyone like within people that I hang around with ever mention the Postal Service except you. Like
Yeah,
and
it's
I don't even know how you found out about them.
well, it's
So
just like it's very big in underground music culture, you know. But it's just
Mhm.
it's weird because it's right on the cusp of mainstream and underground. I don't
Yeah,
hear
and that's what I find
general
weird.
people talking about it. Like, if I go out on the street and
No.
say, "Hey, have you heard the Postal Service?" He's like, "Yeah, it's just down the road, mate." You know, they're not going to talk about the band Postal Service.
Mm.
But yeah, like obviously, if you talk to any dedicated music fan, they all know Postal Service. Like, it's just
Mhm.
a classic, right? But
Mhm. And
yeah,
understandably so.
it's
Like
just one of those
and
albums.
and I,
Yeah.
I can imagine like such great heights having like a big success because I'd say that is easily like the most upbeat thing like on this
Hmm.
album. Like you know, yeah, it's a great catchy little fun song, and so I can imagine that being what sort of launched them.
Yeah.
But I just can't. It's weird. I don't see this as being a massive seller, and it's fucking platinum. Like it's mad to me.
It's the
Um,
power of the music
but
community.
it's pretty good. But I think there's a lot to love it. I'd say like the song that probably crushes me the most though. Like if we're talking about like lyrics,
Hmm.
yeah, District's Sleeps Alone Tonight.
No.
Why do I keep forgetting the
Yeah, it's the
fucking
first
song
song. How
title?
could you?
I know. I think it's just that is a song that is drenched in melancholia.
Oh yeah,
Like
definitely.
that. It's really just kind of sad. Like the beat as well. As much as it does get kind of like poppy,
Hmm.
and it has like the really nice sort of popping type synth sounds in it.
Great descriptions.
I'm not exactly an I can't articulate my words properly sometimes with music, but lyrically and I think just the way that it's sung, especially if you watch the music video as well for it, it is just kind of like it's a bitterly melancholic
Yeah.
song.
Did you know? Do you know how this album was made?
Yes, I do, but explain it
Um.
for our
So yeah,
listeners.
basically, Ben Gibbard from Death Can Be Cutie, who's on the vocals on this album, and some guy for some other band called Jimmy Tamborello. Uh, I want to say tambourine then, but it's Tamborello. Uh, basically, yeah, they collaborated on one track on an album. They shot some ideas together about a collab they could do, like a whole
Hmm.
album collab. Um, but they were separated, right? So they lived in completely different cities, completely different states. So basically, what happened was Jimmy had sent Ben some beats he made, and Ben just added some vocals, added some extra instruments to them, and then sent them back. And then they just kept sending material back and forth until the album was finished. And
It's fucking
because they were
genius.
sending material back and forth through the Postal Service, they ended up
Hmm.
calling themselves the Postal Service. And I think that's very fascinating because, you know,
I don't think any other album's been made like
yeah,
that.
well, not only that, like it's a very interesting way to make it, but you know,
Hmm.
the creative process, while collaborative, is in a way individual. Like Jimmy's doing his own thing, sending it to Ben, then
Yep.
Ben's doing his own thing with it, and then sending it back. You know, and they're completely separated from one another. They're not in the same room
It's
or
kind of
studio.
like
You know.
two solo projects coming together
Yeah, but
almost.
like
Like
it doesn't feel disjointed. It feels like a
no,
cohesive project, and I think that makes
uh
it even more
as if they were
amazing.
there. Hmm.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
The craziest thing about that is when you actually look back on that, you have to now consider in today's day and age why that's so special.
Mm,
Because say if I know you don't necessarily play anything, but like if me and you were to make an album, let's say,
right.
I could sit in my room on my drum kit or on my guitar and I could play about and I'd record it and I'd send you the files and I'd be like, there you go, have that. And then in an afternoon, you could send me back something else and go, okay, there you go, have that.
Yeah, we could
Like,
just send it
and
on a
then one of
messenger.
us puts it
Yeah.
together. Um, but what makes this special is like back then because of technology and the internet hadn't, you don't have cloud storage back then.
Yeah, it's very
Like, or
primal. Yeah.
it's all on tapes. It's got to be sent through the post, which is dodgy in a sense anyway, because that tape could get
Mm.
damaged, that it's like could get lost, and that's like hours worth of like material that would be used.
Yeah.
And so it's such a risk, and I think that's what makes this album even more special, is that like even if somebody were to collaborate from one state to another nowadays, it's not the same thing. I think that happens all the time, especially in hip hop. One producer will create a beat, and then the rapper will take that beat and they'll rap over the top of it. Like
Yeah.
it's such a common method now that someone doesn't have to be in the same room as the artist that they're collaborating with. But for this album, I just feel like it was so special because it was done before it was easy.
Yeah. And like, despite being separated, they were on that same wavelength throughout,
hmm
and it remains.
And
so
they made something
consistent.
fucking great too.
Yeah.
Like despite that risk, I've got one more thing to say, and oh god, I don't know if I'm gonna piss you off here again.
You've already pissed me off.
Um,
So like, you've pissed me off
Well,
enough
with
this
Natural
episode.
Anthem. So I think so actually bang on in the middle of the album we have Clark Gable,
Yeah.
and I really love the song,
Good.
but it lyrically it frustrates me because there are certain cliches in music, or certain things in music and film
Yeah.
that that I just don't get along with, and one of them is this like metaphorical and picture perfect idea of people likening life to a movie, and
Yeah.
and lyrically that is exactly what this song is about. And it just, there's something about it that just rubs me the wrong way. Like I love listening to the song, and yeah, I still love the song, but there's just those parts of the lyrics where he's literally talking about making a movie, so he can kiss this girl that Clark Gable would have been basically impressed by, and there's just something about it where I'm just like, yeah.
I mean,
just,
like, sure, the idea of, look, I'm picturing this as if we're in a movie. Sure, that's cliche. But I think it's all drove home by the chorus where Bane sings, "I want so badly to believe that everything is real." And
yeah,
that's
it's
the
true.
driving message behind it. It's like, I just wish these thoughts, this movie I'm making up in my head, I wish this was real. And it's
And
the
I guess it is
melancholy
kind of
behind
like,
that.
and it is breaking it, like it's breaking that fourth wall
Yeah.
a little bit, because like usually people are like, oh well, I wanna picture that, like my life is a movie. Everything that I do has to be special, as if it's like a picture perfect moment.
Yeah,
That's had
exactly.
like 5 takes to be able to get, and I can't stand that. It cringes me the fuck out. But I guess at least in this song, if I'm gonna take anything from it, is that it does kind of break that down, and it's more about him setting these shots up, like
Yeah,
in a weird
it's a-
way. It's like him directing it,
Yeah, it's an
and it
interesting way
being
of doing
perfect from take one. So it's done in an interesting way, and that's why I still like the song. But for me, it's just like it's a pet peeve of mine, like when people just talk about their lives as if it's a movie.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
like, that's the
guess
thing.
what? If
We
fucking is
all do it.
like,
We all do it.
Yeah,
It's a very
but
human thing to do, and
I
yeah.
think it is to an extent, but also I think it's because for me in entertainment and in music and stuff like that, I like to see the messiness and the realness of things, and this is why like I appreciate in like films like Birdman, like where there's like fuck ups and they keep it in the movies, because like life is kind of just like one big fuck up in a way. Like everybody does stupid shit,
Yeah.
like and so nothing's ever going to be picturesque, nothing's ever going to be these perfect moments, but the perfect moments actually come from these stupid messy things. And that's weird. I've gone on a massive tangent. But yeah, like that's the only thing lyrically like that kind of
But
just
do
like
you think the song that, like, you've gone on this massive tangent about like how life really isn't that picture perfect, how we should appreciate the minor flaws in
the
everyday
smaller
life.
things? Yeah.
Do you think the song has achieved success in its message?
By making me think about
Exactly.
that? Fuck.
So Ben is picturing a
shit,
movie in
man.
his head. He wishes it was real, but he is left with the flawed reality of life.
God damn, this is like musical therapy right here. Like, yeah, fuck. Well, it's given me a newfound perspective. This is why I gotta air my thoughts. This is good. I like that. That's
You've
a
gotta-
decent. That is honestly that's quite a nice interpretation of it. I'll give you that.
3 years of a creative writing degree have finally paid off.
It's quick thinking. I'll give
Quick
you that.
thinking.
I'll give you that. That's a nice quick rebuttal to my stupidity.
I can't thank my degree for that, unfortunately. But
No, you can only thank me for being stupid and you being smart.
yeah. So, if you want to call me smart, I had a brain fart the other day where I forgot where peas came from, as in like garden peas.
Gardens.
I know that now, but like I had a brain fart. I was like, wait, where did they come from? Like, because
So basically, Captain Birdseye has like extremely green poo, and he just like molds that into little peas.
like, the green giant just like literally pees them out. That's why
See,
they call peas.
Now that in my head is picture perfect. That's movie worthy right there. Like, but green giant is sweet corn.
Why is it green? It should be yellow giant.
I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, I was about to say he is yellow on the box, but he's not. I'm thinking
What?
of the sweet
He's
corn.
green
yellow.
giant,
He is
so
green.
he's gonna be green
He is
on
an
the
actual
box.
green giant. Yeah.
Yeah.
The jolly green giant.
Ho ho ho, green giant.
Sort of rounding up my thoughts. It's a really great album. I'm glad I came back to it, and I can't even count the amount of times that I actually listened to this over the past week. Like ridiculous amounts. Like it's just so good. It's really comforting. It's like a nice warm hug of an album.
Yeah, it's a really lovely listen.
It's really, really nice. It's just comforting, and despite its melancholia, and despite some of its sad lyrics, or even if you're turned off by the vocals, it definitely just like give the if you haven't listened to this album before, listeners out there, give it a go, because I think it is just really warm sounding. It's really nice.
Yeah,
and it's platinum. That means a lot of people have bought it, which means it's successful.
which means it's popular, which means it's good. Right, on to recommendations. And since this episode, we were talking about seconds, as in second listens, next episode, we're going to be talking about thirsts. What could he possibly mean? So, next episode, we're going to be talking about the first albums we ever bought with our own money.
Yeah, boy.
So, I'm going to recommend you the first album I bought when I must have been, when did it come out? I think I was 11, 12 years old when it came out.
I'm fucking dying, my heart is
Yeah,
racing.
and I had about £5 left, or no, £10 left on an iTunes gift card I got for Christmas. And I was really big into this artist. I was really big into the genre. And I just really liked this album. And the singles that
feel
came off it.
nauseous.
Connor Bryant,
Don't say it.
next week, you will be listening to...
I actually feel sick.
You will be listening to Recovery by Eminem.
Oh no, that's like fucking long too. You're joking me.
That was the first album I bought because I really loved The Way You Lie.
You've got to think that you have to re-listen to this as well, though.
Oh shit! I didn't think about that.
Well done, mate.
Oh mate, I've already heard it, so I can skip through the tracks. You have to sit down and make notes.
Well, I guess next week's gonna be an episode where we fucking rant about how shit Eminem is.
Because like this is the thing. I was saying this to you before we hopped on here. We can't just talk about good albums. You know,
we really can't.
we need to talk about the shit every once in a while. And as soon as we had this idea that we talk about the first albums we bought, it leads nowhere good. So yeah, you're going to be listening to Recovery by Eminem.
Okay. You know, I've never listened to a full classic Eminem album, so...
Well, I wouldn't go so far to say it's a classic Eminem album, but
No,
it's...
but this is what I mean, is that, like, you are giving me my starting place into Eminem's career.
Oh, you've never listened to a single
And
album in this discography?
Not in full. I've listened to a lot of Eminem, never a full album.
Shit, okay.
And you're starting me with Recovery.
You're welcome.
Christ. Well, I think yours is a lot easier.
Okay.
I'm just on the Wikipedia page at the moment and looking at the reviews. It might actually be, the opposite. But basically, as far as I can remember, I think this is one of the first albums I ever purchased. And if not, it's within the ballpark of the age where I would have been first buying CDs. And that is The Feeling with 12 Stops and Home. And if you don't know what that album
I've
is...
never heard of it.
You would have heard a lot of the songs on like fucking TV adverts in the UK. And if you remember the song "Fill My Little World," that goes, "Fill my little world, right up."
Oh,
right
fuck
up.
no! Shit. That's
I
the
told you
same
this is a
band.
bad idea. I told you this is a bad idea.
Oh no!
That also did the song "Love It When You Call," and "Never Be Lonely."
Fuck.
And just on the Wikipedia page, looking at the aggregate scores, Metacritic of 58. There's BBC gave it an unfavorable. Drowned in Sound 1 out of 10. NME 4 out of 10.
I don't care about the reviews. I'm just thinking
fucking
about
1 out of 10 from Yahoo.
I'm just thinking about the car adverts I've used this fucking bullshit music.
See, I remember this as being like a fun little like power pop album.
Yeah, why did you buy this?
I don't know. I was
At least
like
Recovery
really into
makes
it when
sense
I was little.
for me because I was like an edgy teenager in this
but
hip-hop phase.
exactly. You like at this point in time. So this was released in 2006. So I was 9.
Right.
I think this made sense because I was like into like indie shit. I loved like the Kooks' first album at this point. This is like before I got into like metal. I loved like Kaiser Chiefs and like all that shit.
Right.
Like, so it makes sense within the chronology of my music habits. But I'm not excited to revisit it. I've got to admit to you.
Sorry, what's the band again? What's it called?
The Feeling. The album art is truly horrendous too.
Right.
It's actually quite suggestive looking at it now.
Okay.
I'm liking this less and less the more I look at it.
I'll look at it in a little bit when I go off the air.
Yeah.
But oh fuck! I mean, like, if you didn't mention that, I'll be like, oh, what's that? That sounds kind of interesting. Maybe Connor's actually made maybe this was a good idea. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe Connor's been patrician since he was born.
Yeah, maybe. It's like, mate, this is like an underground classic. Who the fuck knows? But as soon as you started singing that song,
my music taste has always sucked.
Right.
I think you've given me the worst one personally because Recovery's got to be like over 70 minutes, right? Eminem never makes a short album.
That's right, man. It's like a lot of tracks. It's a lot of tracks.
I'm looking it up right now. 76 minutes.
76 minutes.
I really am. I'm not happy with you right now.
Hey, you recommended me a 2-album for the first episode, so this is.
But it was good.
I mean, I thought it was decent. Yeah, but this is just,
Are we still on a minimum of 2 listens? Yeah.
Oh yeah, minimum of 2 listens. You got to appreciate every detail in Spacebound, and love the way you lie.
All right. I've got to find the time. I've got to do it. Well, this has been it's been another episode of Talking Music where we hype each other up and really, really get into the albums that we talk about until we depress each other with the album recommendations that we both hate. And that's what life is. We bring ourselves up to only bring ourselves down. Listen to the Postal Service. Listen to the Richard D. James album.
Love music. We won't next week, but...
Oh, no. Fuck.
Love music. Love yourself. Love life. That's been the Talking Music podcast, and we just talked about music.
Over and out.